Nicki Minaj is the ultimate troll.
Oh, I'd say I'm reasonable.
Okay, that's completely unreasonable.
I'm reasonable.
I'm unreasonable.
You have no idea just how reasonable I have been.
Reasonable synonyms are sensible, rational, practical, fair, appropriate.
Fitting, suitable, logical.
All things I would definitely say describe me.
Do they describe you?
Welcome to I'm Reasonable with Zainab Johnson.
I'm reasonable.
Buongiorno. Hey, welcome to another episode of I'm Reasonable with Zainab Johnson. I am Zainab Johnson. I just got back from Italy. Like, literally, that's completely wrong. I know, I literally just got off the plane. I flew into Rome, but I flew out of Venice, and that was a 16-hour trip. I connected through Paris, and I just got back. And I was like, oh, I could just take a hot shower and get into bed. And I have a few more days off until I'm in Miami, which is all weekend starting this Friday, December 26th. I will be in Miami for almost a week, I think. I'll be there from the 26th through the 30th. So that's 5 nights. I will be at the Miami Improv. So get your tickets, obviously, if you're in the Miami area. But I was like, oh, I just get to rest. I don't have to do anything. And then I was like, oh, no, I have to put out my very last episode of I'm Reasonable with me, Zainab Johnson, for 2025. This is it. We did a full year. Another year. I started this podcast last year. Thank you everyone here who has tuned in since the very first episode. Thank you everyone who has shared it. Thank you to all of my reasons, all of the mods when I was doing the Sunday lives. I may start incorporating live again, not as consistently as like a weekly basis, but I think that, you know, I don't know. Let me try to be impeccable with your words. So let me not put any promises out there, right? Anywho, as always, thank you so much. If you continue to look forward to engaging with this podcast every week, I really appreciate you. We made 100,000 subscribers. I think we're at like 100,000 and whatever. We're well over that, and we keep growing, which is wonderful. That was my goal for 2025, and so with your help, we made that, you know, and of course all the people that, you know, subscribe to my channel because they love the stand-up clips as well. So thank you. And if this is your first time, welcome. Be reasonable, please be reasonable. This is gonna be one of them episodes. Look at me. I didn't even I could have spruced myself up, but you know what? I was like, 16-hour flight. This is what you get. This is what you get. Okay. Like I can do nothing more than that. I really, really can't. There's this TikTok or video. I don't know. I probably saw it on TikTok, but it could be on any of these social media platforms, where a woman is like, people with kids really don't know how much time they have. And I'm like, along with every other person who does not have kids and also has some level of disposable income, did a stitch with the video like, no, we know. And I was thinking that not only kids, but a pet, you know, or anything, even a particular job. Some people ain't got kids, but they got to clock in. They job forces, the details of their job, requires them to be somewhere, a specific physical place, during a specific time. And so, yeah, I was just thinking about that. Anyway, this is what y'all getting is what I'm saying. But yeah, so I decided to do like a last minute, just impromptu trip to Italy, the real reason why, not the real reason, but the thing that motivated the last minute trip, because for years I have wanted to go to Italy. And I'll be honest with you, in the most recent years, I got a little bit discouraged because I be hearing a lot about like, I was going to say racism, but I don't even think it's like racism specific. I think it's like anti-blackness. I've been hearing a lot. At one point I was seeing so many videos where like black girls was like, this is the treatment that I got in Italy. Even a really close friend of mine was like, yeah, we went to this really nice restaurant. The service was so bad, the treatment of us was so bad that we chose not eat. Like, we sat there, somebody on a boat dropped them off at a restaurant, and then they, and thinking that they was going to be there for a couple of hours, and so they just had to just sit there and not eat, because they was like, nah, if you bold enough to give this sort of attitude, there's no way I'm going to let you prepare some food for me, right? So I was really, as much as Italy has been on my list for a really long time, I had gotten a bit like subconsciously discouraged. It wasn't in the front of my mind, but it was like, I would just plan these trips, and then it was like, Italy is one of the, it's high on the list, but I don't know. I haven't been choosing to go there. Anywho, so anybody that flies a lot, like that you can, get status, right? And I don't know, I think like a few years ago, probably 2020 or something like that, pre-2020, I think when I booked flights, I just looked for the best deal. I looked for the best deal, and whether that means like price and time and price and duration, whatever, right? And then I think I realized like, oh no, when you build status with an airline, it really comes with a lot of perks, right? And so I think maybe for the last like 2 years, I've had diamond status with Delta, and I'm almost a million miler, you guys. I'm almost a million miler. But I, always fly Delta, which is very easy to fly Delta because I live in Los Angeles. And I don't fly to the places very often that are not serviced by Delta. Like, I don't have to go to, it gets a little bit like when I have to fly to Chicago, or when I have to fly to Philadelphia, or where else? Wherever the hubs are, okay, so United's hub is Texas. Is it that? I think it's DFW. But the thing is, Dallas is close enough to Los Angeles where I don't need a connection flight. But like if I'm trying to get to Philly, from LA, and I want to fly Delta, I'm going to have to take a connection. And I don't really like connections, especially if I don't like connections, period. But especially if I don't have that much time in my schedule for the travel, because connections just allow more room for error. Right? It's like, okay, so not only do I have to make sure one plane is on time, I got to make sure 2 planes are on time. Not only do I have to deal with a whole group of strangers on one plane, I got to deal with a whole group of strangers on another plane. You know what I'm saying? So I typically don't like to. Anyway, long story short, maybe like 2 weeks ago, I get this like notification in my Delta app saying, hey, you are like short a few MQDs, right? Which are like medallion qualifying miles or something like that to maintain your diamond status. And so I get on the phone with like a Sky Miles representative, and I'm like, she's like, yeah, you're like, just shy of a couple of MQDs. She was like, and so if you made like the purchase amount was like ridiculous, like, cause whatever, it doesn't matter. Anyway, she was like, yeah, but we do offer for you to like buy just MQDs and you can keep your status, right? And so I look at it, and the amount that you have to pay, I'm like, why would I do that? Why would I spend this just for y'all to have it when I could take myself to Italy? And that's what I did. I said, you know what? Let me go to Italy. And so I flew into Rome first. I spent 2 days in Rome. First of all, when I got on my flight, So I flew from LA we connected to JFK, and then from JFK we went to Rome, right? Now I bought just regular economy ticket, right? Because a lot, I would say like 85%, I always get like upgraded, right? Because not only am I diamond, but also with diamond, with like platinum and diamond, I have all of these like upgrade certificates, right? And so not only am I just typically getting like the complimentary upgrades, but if I look at the flight and it's like, oh, there's people who may have like higher status than me or whatever, right? I could just use one of my certificates, and then that just puts me right at the front of the line. That just makes it right. Anywho, so I buy an economy ticket, right? And my flight from LAX to JFK, unsurprisingly, but very gratefully, I got upgraded, right? And so I'm thinking, yeah, I'll probably like who's going to Rome right now, right? It's like 40 degrees in Italy. Who going there right now, right? And so I'm thinking I was going to be upgraded at least to like premium economy, you know what I'm saying? Or at least comfort plus. From JFK to Rome, no. I was back there in the I ain't been in the main section in a very long time, like main economy or something like that. You know, humbly and gratefully, I ain't been back there in a minute. But I was back there, and for some reason, I ain't really feel no way about it. You know, I was like, I was just like really appreciative that, you know, I think it's because it was split in half. Like, you know, LAX to JFK is like, you know, 5 to 6 hours. And then JFK to Italy was the same, like about 6.5 hours. So I was like, oh, half and half, that's fine, right? There ain't no really long leg. I was sitting next to this woman from JFK to Rome, and little old lady, she was older, like old enough to be definitely my parent. And she was like quite petite, and I had the window seat and she had the aisle seat. And she dozed off before the flight even took off, which I completely understand. That be me sometimes. And all her stuff fell down, and it's like she didn't buzz. She was just still asleep, right? And so I don't want to say alarmed. That's not the right word, but like I immediately went to like help her. And then I kind of like gently woke her up, like, hey, all your stuff. Cause it's like her phone fell, her bag fell, it was open. Even the guy who was on the other side of the aisle kind of reached in the same way, like a little bit. That's what it was, urgently. And I was like, your stuff dropped. And she was like, oh, did it? Okay. Oh, thank you. Whatever. And then she starts talking to me and she was like, oh, is this your home? Is this your, and I typically don't tell people, I don't really, if anything, my default answer is always like my home is New York. As much as I don't live there, I don't know. I'm still one of them real funny people about like, my head be on a swivel. You know what I'm saying? Like, my head be on a swivel, especially when I travel. Like, it's like you asking me a lot of questions. And I think I know people just make conversation and people are curious. I'm not. I think I've said this before. When I'm on a flight with people, I really don't care where they're going. I know that we going to the same place, but I don't care why they going there. I don't, and not like I don't care, like it's like it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of life, but in my life it doesn't. I just don't care. I don't care if this is your home. I don't care if you on vacation, and not even in a negative way. I mean, like, it doesn't even occur to me. Like, as curious as I am, it doesn't even occur to me, like, to wonder, like, I wonder if they're going or coming. I be thinking of too much other stuff. It be too much other stuff on my mind for me to be. I be on a flight every week. I can't think about whether you going or coming. You have to be really, I have to find something very like peculiar or interesting, or you have to catch my attention for me to then start to like wonder, or like something has to pique my curiosity. But I ain't just that type of person where, anyway. So she was like, "Oh, is this your home?" So I'm like, "Yeah, New York is my home," because we at JFK, right? So I'm like, "Yep, this is my home." And she was like, "Oh, okay." She was like, "Is this your first time, going to Rome?" And I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "Oh, are you traveling alone?" Now, as much as she a little old lady, I don't know her, and I do not discriminate. I ain't no ages. You could be scamming, and you could be trying to set me up for human trafficking and taking my organs at any age. So if you think you about to get the truth from me, you are not. She was like, "Oh, are you going alone?" I was like, "No." I was like, "My friend is actually meeting me." And the fact that I be struggling sometimes in auditions really throws me, because in real life, the way I start acting is quite incredible. I was like, "No." I was like, and I don't even be skipping a beat. Like you never know that I just made up a story on the spot. I guess I do that on stage. Like, I make up jokes on the spot. The audience never knows, Usually when I'm cracking myself up, that means, I just thought about that in that moment. Anyway, so she was like, "Oh, are you traveling alone?" I said, "No." I said, "My friend," and I made sure I always make it a he. I never make it a she. He's meeting me. And I'm adding to the story. I was like, "Yeah, he's flying from Miami." I told him to just meet me in New York, but he didn't want to catch a connecting flight. He wanted to fly directly. Y'all, a whole lie. Anyway, she's telling me why. So I asked her, whenever you start questioning me, I'll put the questions back on you. I said, "Oh, okay, is this home for you?" And she was like, "Yeah." She was like, I was like, "Is this your first time in Rome?" She was like, "No, my son is in Rome. He's studying." I was like, "Oh, what, studying? Was he trying to be a priest or something?" And she was like, "No, but he went whatever school, some Catholic university." She was like, "But we were just there for Thanksgiving. The whole family was just there to visit him." She was like, "We was there for 10 days, but he got tickets to see the Pope." And I said, "Oh, that's exciting." And she was like, "Yeah." She was like, "He only got one ticket to see the Pope." And I said, "I'm just going to fly there and hopefully you could get another ticket." And it was a shot in the dark. And then last night he told me he got another ticket. So I'm going to see the Pope. And I was like, she was like, "I don't know what's going to happen." And I was like, "But that's so exciting." I was like, "Are you Catholic?" And she was like, "Yeah." I said, "Well, if you do get to talk to him, do you know what you're going to say? Like, have you prepared it now?" If she'd have just sat down and said nothing, she'd have never got a word out of me except "hello" or "you okay?" or "excuse me" when I need to go to the bathroom. But once she said she was going to meet the Pope, now you've piqued my curiosity. Now I'm interested. You know what I'm saying? But like, I'm interested. What you going to say to the Pope? Right? I said, "That's exciting. Have you decided?" And she was like, "Yeah." She was like, "No, I haven't decided." And I said, "Well, this is the cool Pope, right? This is the Chicago Pope, right?" She was like, "Yeah, Pope Leo." And I said, "Well, we got like 6.5 hours. So you should think about what you're going to talk about if you get to say anything to him." And she was like, "I'll just ask him to pray for my family. I'll ask him to pray." I said, "Well, that's kind. That's great. That's wonderful." Right? So then after that whole conversation, she said, "So are you traveling alone?" So now I'm like, "What, you trying to hook me up with your son?" So, I'ma just say it. I said, "Well, no, my friend is meeting me there, but he's coming from Miami." I was like, "But what, like, is your son single?" And not, let me be very clear as I relay this story. I'm not like where the guys at. Like I said, that doesn't like that. That's not my that's not my focus in life, especially at this moment. But I'm just giving the information that you've given me, and now that we back on this question, I just got to know, like, what's the point, right? And because I don't really like to, I just get straight to the point. What's the point? So I could get straight to it. And if there is, I also got to find out quick if there's a point, or you're gonna lose me. You're gonna lose me in this conversation, right? So I was like, I don't know. I said something about her son. And then that's when she told me, she was like, "No, this is what I said." I was like, "Oh, is your son?" I was like, "Oh, is your son what this is? He doing a master's program or something? Has he been working?" Like, I don't know. I tried to find out his age, right? And she was like, she's like, "Oh, no. He's, well, I can't remember how she phrased it, but it revealed to me that he's like a 21-year-old or something like that, 22-year-old. And he's the youngest of all her sons. Anywho. And so she was like, oh, okay, is this home for you? And I was like, yeah, it's home for me. Again, I answered the question again. And she was like, oh, okay, so do you travel a lot? And I said, yeah, I actually do. I travel for work a lot. And she was like, oh, okay, for modeling. And I was like, oh, that's kind of you. I was like, but no. And then I just laughed it off, right? And I don't know, we had a little bit more chit chat. Before she asked me like about the snacks and stuff, like, so how does this work? That's what she said. She was like, so how does this work? Are they going to like bring a snack or bring some food? And I did think that was an interesting question, because it's like, even if you don't fly that much, you just told me you was in Rome at Thanksgiving for 10 days. So I know you got on a flight. Y'all ain't take a boat. So I know you got on a flight, and so they already did. You know how this works, right? But anyway, whatever. Like I said, she's an older woman, and so I explained to her, as if I was the stewardess in the sky. I explained to her, typically, how they do the meal service on a plane. Fast forward, she ends up falling asleep or whatever. Oh, no. Okay, so she ends up falling asleep a little bit, right? And at some point when they start, bringing out food and beverage and whatever, y'all know I don't really eat food on a plane like that, although I did eat my food this morning on a plane. Anyway, I don't eat food on a plane like that. I definitely, and forgive me for saying this, I definitely can't eat no food in economy. I'm so sorry. And that has nothing to do with me not really flying economy no more. My first time ever leaving the country, my sister and I went to, I had to go with my sister because I think I wasn't, how old was I? No, I was old enough to travel. I was 19. Was the first time I ever left the country. First time I ever got on a plane was when I was 18. First time I ever left the country was when I was 19. And me and my sister flew to visit my brother in Japan. And of course, when I got on the flight, from JFK, in New York, I had all the snacks with me. I had 15 hours worth of food packed with me for the flight, right? I had chips, I had everything, right? Coming back, I ain't have nothing because we was in Japan. So I ain't really have nothing. Y'all, I ain't eat nothing. And when we was back, we was way back in basic economy. Okay, for 15 hours, and there was traffic in the sky. So we had to fly around. There was like congestion or something in the sky or at the airport. So we had to circle around like the New England area for like 2 hours, turning our 15-hour direct flight from Tokyo to 17 hours back to JFK. I did not eat a thing, and I was starving. And my sister was like, Zainab. And on a Japanese flight, they're going to serve you sushi and all of that type of, right? My sister was like, Zainab, you have to eat. I was like, it's not going to happen. I'm ready to pass out. I was like, it's not going to happen. My sister was like, at least take this roll and like have the roll just in case. I was famished. Anywho, so when they came around and asked me like what food I wanted, I was like, oh, no, thank you. But then he was like, okay, can I get you a drink? And I was like, yeah, can I have a Pellegrino? And he was like, yeah. And so she, the older lady next to me, she was like, oh, are you having what I'm having? And I was like, I'm having a Pellegrino. She turns to the flight attendant and was like, he was like an older white guy. She turns to him and she was like, she's going to have the Pellegrino. And he kind of was a little bit startled, right? And then he looked at me and smiled like, yeah, I heard you. And then she was like, she's going to have the, like, she got a bit distraught, right? She was like, she's going to have the Pellegrino. She's going to have the Pellegrino. And he said, ma'am, I know. I mean, because she kind of turned, how it'd be two people, it'd be one person on each side of the cart, like handling whatever, right? So she turned to the other flight attendant who was on the other side of the car and was like, she wants a Pellegrino. And so the other flight attendant was a little bit confused. And so he said, ma'am, I heard you and I heard her. I'm already taking care of it. And he kind of looked at me and was like, what's that about? And I just kind of like politely smiled, like, it's okay. I don't know. But I mean, seems like she's advocating for me. So, right? All right, so now the flight gets going. Basically most of everybody. It's an evening flight, right? It's a red-eye flight. We land in Rome at 7 a.m. in the morning. So basically everybody is asleep through the night, right? Don't you know, when we wake up, as soon as the flight lands, which like I said, it landed maybe like 7:25 in the morning in Rome. Soon as everybody woke up and we about to she looks at me, little old lady, she looks at me and says, so is this your first time in Rome? And I was like, yeah. In my mind, like, how many times I got to tell you? And she was like, are you traveling? It wasn't until she said, are you traveling alone? And I could tell she said it like it was a new idea. And I realized, oh, she got like early onset, like dementia or Alzheimer's, like that's when it hit me. It took me so long to realize it. And then I was like, I wonder if she realizes it. And I wonder if her family knows, because then I kind of like watched her as we were walking I traveled really light this trip, so I didn't have like baggage claim going. And so when we were exiting, because I was like, you know how you get into your son? And she was like, yeah, well, I'm supposed to. She told me like, I'm going to take the train and da-da-da-da. And I was like, as I played back our conversation, I'm like, yeah, she did basically repeat like the same 4 questions to me over and over and over every time we spoke. And then the way she sort of like yelled for them to get me to drink. It was just like all of the signs, right? And I was like, well, dang, I just hope, I'm saying all that to say, I hope she made it to the Pope. I hope she made it to the Pope and back home safely, because I don't know. It's like those sort of like symptoms, it can be a bit dangerous to travel alone, Anywho, so then I get to Rome, and yo, I am a trooper. I literally land at 7:30 in the morning. I go through customs. I take the train. I take like the speed train to my hotel. I get to my hotel maybe like 9 a.m. That's like check-in time is like 2 p.m. or something like that, 3 p.m. I get there at like 9 a.m. and I'm like, hey, I would like to check in if a room is available. And she was like, yep, can I have your passport? Blah, blah. She was like, oh yeah, room is available. We actually upgraded you. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, okay, cool. Loved my hotel in Rome. Absolutely loved my hotel in Rome. I went up there, I got into my room, I freshened up, and I went right back out. Immediately went right into like, the whole touristy part, immediately went to Vatican City. Early, y'all, off of 13 hours in the air, 14 hours in traveling. And the temperature was vastly different. When I left LA, it was like 75 degrees. When I got to Rome, it was 40 degrees. Went to Vatican City, went to the Sistine Chapel, and once I got to Rome, I realized if you Catholic, that's where you gotta go. Because at first I was like, this is a lot of Jesus and Mary, and just, right, like everywhere I went, I was like, this is a lot. Okay, we get it. But then I was like, girl, yeah, you in the home of the Roman Catholics. Anywho, best food I ever tasted in my life in Rome. I also did a Colosseum tour, which I loved. I did a Colosseum Forum tour. I went to the Pantheon. I did so much in Rome. I really, really enjoyed Rome. I walked so much every day. I was walking like 15 miles in Rome. Like I really, really, really enjoyed Rome. But also the food was so good. And y'all, why I thought I ain't like pizza my entire life since I was a baby. Since the first memory I ever had a pizza. My friends, if you ask any of my like childhood friends, they'll always say that was a favorite part of like eating pizza with me in New York is that I'm going to take off all the cheese. I would never, ever eat the cheese. So if you was my friend, if you was my sibling, you knew you was going to have extra cheese because you could take every single piece of my cheese. Because I do not like cheese. And I especially, let me just tell you what, you want to gross me out? Try to give me some melted cheese. And you're going to lose me every single time. I thought that I did not like pizza. And then I had Roman pizza. First of all, did y'all know original pizza don't got cheese? Cheese is like an added, just like you add anchovy, or you add what's it called, pepperoni, or you add whatever you add, onions, olives. Like, it's an added thing. It's not. I had no idea. Let me tell y'all, I got pizza. I got Roman pizza because it's very thin crust. Regular marinara. I had the spicy one. That was my favorite. And then I had the red onion one. So I had that my second day, right? I didn't realize I was going to like pizza like that. My third day in Italy, I woke up early in the morning. I took a train. I took I'm going to call it the bullet train, but that's not what they call it. It's a fast train. I took that to Florence. Yo, on that train, the whole time I was thinking, I wish I had some more of that pizza. I ate food after that, but I was like, even now, that's the thing. If I go back, that's the thing I'm going to want. Like, I had a lot of good food, but that's the thing I'm going to want. Anywho, I realized I'm a tour girly. I am a tour girly because the funniest thing, remember when I came back from Thailand, and this is going to be a long episode all about me in Italy, but I am going to talk about, I got other stuff to talk about too. But remember when I came back from Thailand, and I was like, my favorite thing was my bike ride tour through the real Bangkok. And the tour guide was like, this is not like your country, right? This tour guide, her name was Maria. She was great. She had all this information. Not only did she have a lot of information, but she was really passionate. And I really can appreciate that, you know? I was dying laughing because she would show us and Rome is so old that Rome made me feel like I gotta go back to school, because I have realized that I am an immersive learner. Yo, you put this in a book and stuff like that, and you got somebody boring, you got somebody with no pizzazz, and it's the same curriculum, I'm not gonna care. I told you, when I sit next to somebody, I don't even be thinking about being interested. They really got to do something to get my, you know what I'm saying? I don't like, and so I am sure I studied in many different ways, history, English, creative writing. I'm sure that I don't even be watching movies about I only watch Gladiator 2 because it had Denzel. I don't even be liking that whole, like, I don't be interested. I be like, white people in sheets, what? And I don't be liking it. And then when I got to Rome, I was like, I'm so interested. Every night I went back to my hotel and I just was reading about the Roman Empire. I was like, what? I was like, I got to go back and do school again. And I was supposed to, in school, I should have been doing like all types of study abroads. I should have been doing I don't have any regrets, but I do sometimes wish that I had a different type of guidance. You know, like, obviously, I'm very appreciative of my parents and like all of the mentors that I've had in my life, and that, but people can't know you. People can't teach you what they don't know. Right. And people sometimes keep you in the same place due to their own fears. Right. It's so like when I say that, it's like, no, this isn't at all a blaming of my mom in any way, shape, or form. But like, as I talk to my mom, the older we both get, my mom has done much more traveling now than she ever did when I was younger. Like I said, the first time I got on a plane was when I was 18. My nieces and nephews, their lives are so different than my life was in terms of like how much of the world they get to see, and I found out, I don't know, some years ago, my mom, she hates flying. And it's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I always thought that we was just poor. And that was the reason why we ain't go nowhere. But it's like, no, we're that as well. We're financially maybe like challenged as well, but also there's no desire here because the fear is greater, you know? And of course, that's just like one example. That's just like one thing that I'm thinking about. But I just, you know, I can't do life over, right? I can't do that part of my life over. So I want to be very sure to like encourage people, but also encourage like my nieces and nephews. And if I ever have children, like encourage them to like, that there's such a vast world, and there's a very different way to, there are so many different ways to learn, you know? Anywho, the tour guide, Maria, she was making me crack up when she would bring something regular to something that was really historic, right? So like, apparently with the Coliseum, a lot of people came and like stole so many parts of it, right? In Rome, in that part of Rome, there was a lot of like Turkish marble, like really expensive marble that's really hard to get a hold of now, right? And so for years, people would be stealing whatever. And so we had gotten to this big, like kind of marble thing that was surround, you know, that it was like kind of closed off. And she was like, you know, now they finally put barriers around it. But people used to, you know, they would sometimes come and say, she was like, she was saying how old it is and how rare it is. And she was like, and people come and sit down and drink Coca-Cola. And then she would be like, can you imagine? Coca-Cola. When she did stuff like that, at some point we got somewhere else in the tour and she was like, and they touch it with their hands. Ketchup. Can you imagine ketchup? Like when she did stuff like that, I was dying laughing. I took another tour when I was in Venice. I took a night tour, which was all about like it was like a murder mystery tour in Venice, right? It ain't nothing to do in Venice. So it ain't nothing to do in Venice. It ain't a comedy show, a singing show, a nightlife. Ain't nothing to do in Venice when the sun goes down. Ain't nothing to do. You can't even really move like that because all the boats, you know what I'm saying? You got to trap the island Venice, right? The island. It's like when the sun go down, ain't nobody doing a boat tour. It's dark. It's pitch black. It ain't that much light. And Venice is really the island is really old, right? Anyway, so ain't really nothing to do. So I did this like murder mystery sunset tour. I'm the best audience person because I realized as the girl, we had a dry ass, okay, the Coliseum tour. They wasn't dry, like the energy was there, but they was quiet. But it was me and this other black lady and her son. I'm assuming that was her son. He was very tall, and Maria gonna say, "You play basketball?" I said, "Maria." Anyway, but he was like, "Yeah, I do actually." And she says to me, "I say you look like a singer." I said, "A singer?" Okay, whatever, I'll take it. Anyway, but I don't be giving no information. I said, okay, most people be like, no, I'm a teacher. I was like, okay. Anywho, so the black lady and her son, they was also cracking up, like they was also reacting in the same way that I was reacting. Like had the freedom to like, people be corny. I realized when I was doing a murder mystery tour, I realized like, this girl is talking for 90 minutes. She has to deliver material for 90 minutes. And yeah, I can tell. I don't think everybody else could tell. I could tell when she was delivering the punchline. And not that it was supposed to be like so funny, but it's like a murder mystery tour. So we was definitely supposed to be like aghast. We was definitely supposed to be on the edge of our seat. And so in moments, I really had to lean into it. Like, obviously, she was good, but there was room for improvement. And not like, meaning like there's somebody else who got a knack for that type of tour. You get what I'm saying? Got a knack for like setting the scene, telling the story, getting a rhythm, making you feel the chills in your body. And then when they reveal, you know what I'm saying, the quote unquote punchline, you like, ah! So there was times like that where she telling the story and then she would reveal who the murderer was or why the murder happened or something like that. I would be the only one like, ah, what? That was so dry. And I could tell that they was dry because every time I reacted, I would laugh when she said something. Like, I was completely engaged with her tour. Then she started delivering it all to me. That happens when I'm on stage all the time. That happens when if you ever go to a comedy show, you'll see it. We gonna speak to the group that's giving us energy. You over there dry, we gonna avoid you like the plague. Because what I'm supposed to do with that? This is reciprocal. Anywho. So I did 2 days in Rome. Then I took the train to Florence, and I was in Florence for one day for 24 hours. In Florence, I actually could pass on Florence. I think if I went to, I think if I went to Florence again, I would need to go to like the countryside, like the like Tuscany side that we see, like the picturesque, like water and valleys of green, and do you know what I'm saying? Just country. And just a bunch of focaccia bread and stuff like that. I had a very good sandwich in the affogato, which is espresso with gelato. It was cool. Like I saw all the stuff that you got to see in Florence. Oh, I saw the statue of David. And I said, that's a big ass statue. And I said, let me see what David is doing. And I realized, oh, David and Goliath. That's right. That's a little boy. Let me get up out of here. Not that I would be sexualizing a statue or anybody, but also I was like, yeah, that's a little ass boy. But besides that, like everything in Florence is like, Michelangelo did this statue. Michelangelo did this statue. And these other people did these other, statues, but Michelangelo did this statue. And then the next morning I woke up, my last day, and my last full day, I woke up and took the fast train again to Venice. And just so y'all understand the train time, so from Rome to Florence, that was like maybe a little under 2 hours. Maybe like an hour and 45 minutes. And then from Florence to Venice, that was probably like 2 hours. And then I got to Venice. And as soon as I stepped off the train, I was instantly happy. Because it's just all of this beautiful color. Right? It's all of this beautiful color. Oh, I recognized what I didn't really like about Florence too. It was some about Florence was the place. This is not an attack on Italy at all, but of the three, and I'm sure this exists not only in all parts of Italy, but this exists all in the world. I grew up in New York City, so you know what I'm saying? I am not unfamiliar to crime at all. But in Florence, it was just the most like, it just was like the most. I didn't like the vibe. But it wasn't my my favorite. The vibe of the people wasn't my favorite. And it was just like a lot of scammers. I actually, as I was waiting online to get into see the statue of David, I watched the scam, but I knew it was a scam because I saw it on TikTok, and then I watched it happen in real life. The girl was like, hey, when you get to Florence, just so you know, this is a scam that's happening. Basically, people print out this artwork. It's like just cheap. It's just like picturesque, but it's just cheap paper. They print it out. They put it on the ground. They put it on the ground in like areas that are predominantly visited by tourists. And so you walk in, you looking around, you on your phone, you not really paying attention. You step on the photo, and then they're like, oh, you stepped on my photo, you want my photo, you have to buy the photo. And that's the scam, right? And sure enough, as I'm waiting online, because it's like I had my ticket to get in, but it's like you still got to wait online, right? And so as I'm waiting to get online, sure enough, this family walks by, and the mother is not really paying attention. The woman pushing the stroller is not really paying attention, and the stroller rolls over the pictures that are on the ground. And then the guy was like, oh no, you got it, and then whenever it's like a slight language barrier, because you're dealing with tourists, right? It's like you just kind of want to the issue to stop. And so the guy rolls up the thing, like how you would roll up a post, and he was like, you just have to pay for it. And so they're like, And then finally they give them money. It don't matter how much money, because the poster ain't really worth nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it's any money. It's just like, and then later on that night, and I took video of this. I was living on the edge, y'all. So they say that you have to go, I forget what it's called, but you have to go to this certain part of Florence, and you can see the entire city. And a lot of people go there to watch the sunset. So that's what I did, right? And I see at one point behind me, the people doing I don't know if it's called, I don't know what it's called, but I want to say like 3-card Monte, but it's like when they have something like a ball and they put it under the cups. I don't know what that's called. And then they move it around and you got to guess. And it was so clearly a scam, and it was the same people doing it. Like it was like the same players every single time. And so they looking like, I'm like, first of all, why are you always getting it right? Why are you always getting it wrong? Oh, when you just got that much money, whatever, right? So then there's these 2 Asian girls, and they taking pictures, they blah, 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 and they see this game happening. It seems like people winning money. Of course, I don't even think it occurred to the 2 Asian girls that it was a game forget the scam. I don't even think that they realized that it was a game for money. So the guy is doing it, and then he looks at the Asian girl and he was like, choose one. So she just was like, she just chose one, and he picked up the cup, and obviously the ball wasn't under the cup, and he was like, oh, you got it wrong. And she was like, it's like they not really saying words, because they just clearly don't speak. Okay, so I would say Italian, but it's not even Italian, because the people doing the scam were brown. Some sort of Middle Eastern. Anywho, so he's saying, I think he was saying it in English, actually. Like you have to, how much, he was definitely saying it in English, because I understood everything that he was saying. And so the girl was like, they was trying to figure out, like they couldn't figure out what was happening, and he was like, how much money you have to, like you lost, so you have to pay. And then so after a little while, they figured it out. And so the girl took out money. She took out like the cash she had. And so she gave him like one of the bills, and he was like, you still owe more. And then she gave him the other bills. And then, and she was like, she didn't say it, but this was her body language. Like her and the girl, it's like they looking at each other like, this is what I got, and at this point, right, while I believe, like, I'm like, oh, this is a scam, because it's like I've seen this on TV too much, right? But like literally they write this into like movies, right? Since like, I don't know, since I've been alive. But also it's like just a game, right? You haven't lost anything yet. It's not like you've had to pay her. So why y'all so focused? It's other people that your other players in the game. Let's say we don't know this is a scam. This lady, as much as she's a player, let's say we don't know that, right? She got a whole bunch of money. Why you focused on the Asian girls who they ain't even understanding what you're saying? And he was so focused, and it's because they were the only 2 involved in the game that were not a part of the game. They were not a part of the scam, And then sure enough, after they did that, they packed, because they was doing it on the ironing board. They packed up the iron board, went to the other side of this park or wherever, this overlook, or I forget the name of it. And then sure enough, a little while later, because like I said, y'all, I'm there. So I got there like maybe an hour before the sunset, because it was beautiful. I wanted to see it during the day and at night. I wanted to see all phases of it, like when the sun was shining, as the sun was setting, and then like what does it look like to see like the city at night, right? From the top, from an aerial view, essentially. And sure enough, I was doing like a video or something like that, and I turned around and they right behind me again. So then I turned it on the selfie camera to like get a video of them, and I was like, oh, if they turn around, and right when I did that, other people started to try to like record. It was like, no cameras. But I got it on camera. Scamming. So Florence just wasn't my place. Florence wasn't my place. And I go to Venice, right? Venice made me instantly happy. The first place that I went to, again, I got there in the morning. Soon as I got there, I went to the hotel. And that's another thing. I did not like my hotel in Florence. Although the staff was nice, I did not like my hotel in Florence. But then when I got to Venice, I could have stayed in Venice a lot longer because my hotel was like my hotel was a luxury hotel, but it was like a boutique luxury hotel in Rome. And then in Florence, it's like they almost sell it like it's a modern whatever, but it's like, if you don't get me out of this hotel. Anyway, like I actually couldn't sleep that night. When I was in Florence, I could not sleep at all. And then when I got to Venice, I loved my hotel. It was right on the canal. Everything was so colorful. I checked in immediately, and then I went and got gelato. I went and got gelato, and it was delicious, and it was a vegan gelato, and it wasn't like you know, when they do vegan stuff, sometimes it's just like, it's not gelato, it's not like ice cream, it's like sorbet. It wasn't that. It was literally like vegan. It was pistachio, and I got coffee because I was like, "Can you get an affogato?" Because remember, I had an affogato in Florence. I did enjoy my affogato in Florence and my sandwich, my focaccia in Florence. But so I was like, "Can I get an affogato?" And she was like, "Oh, we don't have any espresso machines here." She was like, "But I have coffee. I have vegan coffee gelato." And I was like, "Can I try it?" She was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Can I try the pistachio too?" And it was so good. I was like, give me 2 scoops. And that was my breakfast. 2 scoops. She was like, "Also, the cones are vegan as well." I said, "Girl, give it all to me. I'm here. You got me. Give it all to me." And then I walked around. I ended up buying some shoes. I walked into, because I did all the sightseeing stuff, and Venice is really like a maze, you know? It's just like a bunch of small, like narrow to wide alleys, and it's really just like a maze, this like above water, you know? Like it's a very cool looking city, very cool and quaint and romantic, but also just like, but it ain't a fun city. You know what I'm saying? I went to what they say is the oldest cafe in the world. And yes, the lattes and the cappuccinos were 20 euros. The guys are dressed in like tuxedos. And before you sit down, they sweep off the velvet couch. It's like tea time. It's like having proper tea and all of that type of stuff. It was. And then I was like, "Do y'all have almond milk?" And he was like, "No, we only have soy milk." And I was like, "And give me a double espresso, because what I'm not about to do is pay no 30 euro, which is almost the same, 30 euros for some goddamn soy milk. So I will drink this straight up." I did a lot of just cool stuff. But then I walked past, what was this store? I wanted these shoes from them for such a long time, and I haven't been able to find them in the States. So I went into the store to see if they had them, and she was like, "No, we didn't. We never even carried those." She was like, "Some buyers get different things." Jill Sanders. She was like, we never even got those, but they're great." I was like, "Oh no, I need to get these shoes." And then right next door, I saw Mason Marcella, and I was like, "You know what? Some of my favorite pieces have been from them. Let me go in. I've always wanted to try on the Tabby shoe. Let me go in and try it on." My salesperson, Diego, he was so nice. He was so nice. Y'all, I ended up buying some boots. In Italy. But here's the thing. He was like, "If you have time, you go 20 miles, you can go to the Tabby factory." I'm not doing a good job with his accent. But whatever. He got me to buy them boots. He was like, "Also too, I could give you the tax thing so you could get your money back when you get to the airport." And I was like, and it saved me probably, if I bought the boots here, it saved me maybe about like $350, which I would have never expected because the euro is stronger than the dollar. Anywho, then I spent one day and one night in Venice, and then I woke up really early in the morning to catch a flight back to Los Angeles. And remember when I was like, I was relying on an upgrade. I couldn't do that this time because my flight connected in Paris. And so the flight from Venice to Paris was an hour and a half. So that meant my flight from Paris to LA was going to be like 11, 12 hours. I can't chance no upgrade. And I'm not, when I flew out, I was on Delta, but flying back, I was on a Delta partner, which was Air France. I said, no. Let me go ahead and just buy this. Let me just go ahead and buy this upgrade. Let me just go ahead and pay for first class. Let me just go ahead and buy it. Yeah. And let me tell you something. The best thing I did, y'all, the best thing that I did. Although on my flight, because I was knocked out. And the first meal they brought, it was like lobster and something. They were so surprised when I didn't eat that lobster. I ate some vegetable puree or some carrot puree, and he was like, "Are you done with this?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was looking at the lobster like, "Are you sure you're done?" I was like, "Yeah, I ain't about to eat that lobster on the plane. No, I can't do it." I don't know why, y'all. I cannot do it unless the chef got to come out and put that hat on in front of me and take the lobster out the motherfucking tank in front of me. I mean, I ain't going to eat the lobster anyway, but if I am going to eat it, I'm going to have to see all of that in the air before I'm eating. You just going to put y'all already did the lobster already and you just going to serve it to me? I cannot. And you mixed it with some stuff. I cannot. But I was looking around. Well, I mean, it wasn't that easy because, it's like we all just in our separate cubbies, right? And after a while, everybody closed their door. At some point, I had closed my door too, so I had to kind of stand up and trying to look over. Everybody was eating that lobster. That was a highlight of the first meal, except me. The flight attendant, he was confused. He checked on me. He was like, "I just wanted to come. My name is Roman." And I was like, "Oh, I just came from Rome." He was like, "Okay." He was like, "I just wanted to check. Is there anything that we can do to?" And I was like, no, I'm fine. And I ain't feel like it. I was ready to go to sleep. I ain't feel like explaining it. Like, I'm weird when it comes to food. I'm particular, sir. Don't pay me no mind, okay? But keep bringing the sparkling water, please. Anyway, the next meal, what was I trying to say? Oh, okay. So I got hungry when I woke up, like 2 hours before we landed. And he was like, "So do you want to try the new meal?" And I was like, he was like, "We do. It's complete vegetarian. Like, it doesn't have cheese or anything." I was like, "I'll try." And I ate it. It was like squash and quinoa and asparagus and, anywho. Oh, and like pink grape. And then the fruit was like pink grapefruit, orange, whatever. I ate that. But I ate it slow. I ate it real slow. Like, let me see how I feel about this. And I ended up eating the whole thing. So that is an improvement. Because part of the reason why you in first class, too, is for the food. And I never take advantage of that. Whenever I'm in first class, the flight attendants be like, "So you're not going to eat at all?" I'll be like, "No. But could you bring me some more cookies?" They like, "The cookies you could buy from the store?" "Yeah, those cookies. And I'll take a sparkling water, please." So on my flight from Venice to Paris, I'm just watching people because I was on a flight early, not early, but like I was one of the first people to board. And so I'm just watching people as they trying to put their stuff in the overhead compartment. And I see this older couple. I don't know they a couple yet. I see this lady, her bag she had the biggest carry-on bag. It's like, that's probably not a carry-on, but okay, you made it, right? It's clearly heavy. And when I say she an older woman, I don't mean she 45. I don't mean she 50. I mean, I don't know how old she was, but I would assume 70. She looked old. She looked as old or older than my mama. So I would assume that she's 70. Somewhere in there, right? 70 or more. I wouldn't even go less. And the guy is behind her, older man, also that age, taller than her, right? So closer to the overhead compartment. And she trying to put it in the thing. And then so he puts his stuff down to help her. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's good that he helped her. And then I realized that they a couple, right? And he tries to push it in 1 or 2 times. And then it doesn't go in. So he's like, it's not going to go in. It's not going to go in. It's not going to go in. It doesn't fit. And she was like, no, you just have to put it this way. He was like, so he then tries to he's like, no, you got to go, right? And so he lets it go. This is a heavy ass bag. He lets it go. The bag just drops. And the bag dropped so hard in the aisle that other people that was still in the aisle went to the lady's rescue. And that's her husband behind her. So the husband got a bag. He also got a big bag, but it's a book bag. It ain't like a roller bag. It's a book bag. And so he tried to put his book bag up, and the book bag can't really fit overtly. Now here's like easily. Now here's the thing. This is a very different plane. This is like one of them local commuter planes that we on from Venice to Paris. Right? This ain't like the plane that we on for to travel to Los Angeles. So it's like the overhead. It's a lot of space in the overhead, but the thing doesn't open very wide. So it's like, your suitcase could fit in there if you could get it past the barrier, right? And so he can't get the book bag past the barrier. And so he just takes the big old suitcase and a book bag and sits down in his seat. Now she know they're not going to let us ride like that. So she gets up and she's able to put his book bag away, right? And she was like, yeah, she ain't say she didn't, she was just like, I got it in there, right? Now you would think that as her husband, matter of fact, I would think as her husband that he would get up and be like, okay, she got my bag in. Let's figure out what to do with her bag, right? Let me call a flight attendant. Let's get some help. Like, we're clearly senior citizens. You get what I'm saying? Like, let's like it's fine. It's okay if people listen. We either gonna hold up people at the beginning or we gonna hold up people at the end, because we got this bag and it ain't in the overhead compartment. So whether we make people wait as they boarding the flight or we let everybody sit down and then we got to do it, either way, this is about to take some time to figure out, right? So he sits down holding the suitcase, right? And then after everybody's seated, the doors is closed to the airplane. Here go the lady coming back to the front with the luggage. She still ain't got the luggage nowhere, right? I turn around, his ass sitting there looking out the window. She picking it up, trying to fit it in everything, right? Now here's the thing. I know she knows that it can fit. I know she knows that she overpacked it. And I know he probably pissed because he probably told her you overpacked it. He probably been telling her for 45 years, you overpack shit, you don't pack right. And but I'm sure of it. Even still, that is your wife. In the same way that y'all probably have bickered over the same things for however long, that's still your wife. That is still your wife. So the fact that she going up and down these aisles trying to figure out what to do with her luggage and you looking out the window like you a child flying in a plane for the first time is wild, sir. Then the flight attendants, 2 female flight attendants, they helping her. They trying to help her. And one of the flight attendants, she's a bit more, she's like, it goes on this side. This side is the bigger side. I know that it can fit, but the overheads don't open. It's weird that they don't open up like all the way. She's like, they don't open up all the way, but it's this side is larger than that side. So it has to be on this side. The 2 flight attendants, much younger than the older lady, they all about the same size and weight. 5'6", 130 pounds. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. They all in that range. Just a regular average size. You know what I'm saying? European women. They trying to put it. It's heavy. They all 3 of them holding it. Trying to get it into the thing. I turn to look back one more time. Who's still looking out the window? I said, I don't know what's out the window, but it must be very interesting. Finally, they get the bag up into the overhead, and the wife is happy. She go back to the seat. I can't help but to turn and look and watch this whole story, see this whole story all the way through. Then she gonna turn and look. She gonna turn and get in her seat, and she gonna say to him, I got it in. And he was like, I said, how long has this been going on? Tell me a story about the good times, so I can understand this. Now, how long has this been going on? This doesn't seem right. Anywho, and then I made it back home safely. It's so funny because y'all know all my friends got my locations, right? They got not only they got the location to my phone, they got the locations to my air tags, everything. My air tags is everywhere. They got all the locations to my keys, all the air tags in my luggage, everything, right? So I'm at baggage claim. I just get to LAX. I get through customs. I'm at baggage claim. I take my phone out. I got a text from my friend. Hey girl, I see you got back. I see you just got back to LA. I can't wait to hear how the trip was. I said, that's so funny. But you know what? Don't try to kidnap me because people is looking for me. Don't try to kidnap me because people is looking for me. All right, wow, I spent an hour doing a What's Up with Z, but when's the last time I did that, right? Okay, what are we talking about? Nicki Minaj? Let's see. I made a list. But first, let's talk about where you guys can see me this weekend. I will be in Miami at the Miami Improv in Miami, Florida, starting this Friday, December 26th. I will be there throughout December 30th. Okay, so that is 5 nights, 7 shows, 5 nights. First time doing the Miami Improv, and look at me, I got a whole residency. I will be there for 5 nights starting this Friday, December 26th, throughout Tuesday, December 30th. So 2 nights. 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday, 1 show Sunday, 1 show Monday, 1 show Tuesday. So if you are in the Miami area, go ahead and scroll down the details of this podcast. You'll find a ticket link. Go ahead and hit that ticket link and get your tickets and come out to the shows. Also, you will see my 2026 calendar. You will see the show dates that have been added to my 2026 schedule. We're starting January 8th in Austin, Texas at Cap City Comedy Club in Austin, Texas. And then you'll see all the other cities. Okay, we have Pittsburgh, we have North Carolina, Charlotte and Raleigh, we have Chicago, we have Indianapolis, we have Washington, D.C., a lot of cities. Okay, so just go ahead and scroll down. You'll see in the details of this podcast all of those details. All right, let's get back to the show. I just did a list while I was on a plane and in an Uber. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to talk. Let me just write a bunch of stuff that was in my head. So 1, I'm finding it a lot of, how do I say this? I'm finding that there are times where I say things on this podcast and it gets conflated. And so I wanted to give you guys a definition of conflate. Respectfully and with love. The definition of conflate is to combine 2 ideas into one. That happens often enough for me to talk about it. And I can tell that it happens when I read some of the comments. And yeah, I would like for it to happen less in 2026, which is why I'm bringing it up now. I believe that everyone is worthy of love. My statement last week on a podcast, when I was like, I don't believe you should be dating. If you got locked up or whatever, locked up out of a divorce, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Anything that has kind of changed the state of your livelihood and mental state and everything like that, I believe that you shouldn't be. I think that there should be some time focused on not another person, but on what you on building a healthy routine in life. And yeah, that wasn't, it seems like that wasn't understood by some people. I was actually in the comments to a very, someone who comments often. I know that they're a reason. And so this is, of course, with love and respectfully, but in a comment, it said that for me to say that somebody that is released from jail isn't worthy of love or shouldn't have love for 2 or 3 years is elitist. And I never said that. I said you shouldn't date. And so that's the reason why I want to go back to conflate. This happens often. It happens so much in conversation. I was just talking to my managers. I talk to my managers all the time, but even I was having a sort of impassioned discussion with my managers, and I had to say to one of my managers, let's not conflate these two things. Let's not conflate this specific job with my expectations of this relationship, this working relationship. Let's not make these two different things the same. Dating and love are not the same. While one can lead to the other, they are not the same. Right when I was reading that comment, my sister sent me this message that, like I said, I told y'all I'll be watching Ready to Love. And I haven't seen a few episodes because it's like I watch it with people. It ain't really a show that I'm gonna just watch by myself. I like sort of the camaraderie. I like sort of the chatter that goes along with it if I'm watching it with like my friend or my sisters, So one of my younger sisters sent me this TikTok with this girl, one of the guys that's on the show right now. I don't know his name, but he's from Detroit. They all from Detroit. And he come on the show with it's a fake hairline, but it be the freshest fake hairline and beard line, right? He talking all of this, and the girl on the show that I really like, cause she be calling stuff how it is. Like she be saying, she just said she has a real good knack for no, some about him is off, right? She actually called it. She was like, it's some about him that's disingenuous. She was like, I can't put my finger on it, but I trust my experience in life enough to follow this, right? But he talk about he owned car dealerships. He's a car salesman. He got a lot of investments. Every time he show up on the show, he got some sort of fur attachment to something he wearing. Some big fur, whatever, right? And his biggest connection is with one of the girls who seemingly is like one of the youngest women on the show, right? Why my sister sent me this TikTok of his alleged ex-girlfriend, fat white girl. What? Why am I saying fat white girl? You know what? I don't even know, but it just adds to the story. It just adds to the story because I think that there is a stereotype when it comes to Black men who kind of it's like they go after not just the white girl, but kind of like the fat white girl. And the reason why I say fat white girl and not ugly white girl is because one, ugly ain't got nothing to do with it. It's white people, the Caucasian, they really value being thin. That's a real big, that's a beauty standard for them. You know what I'm saying? To be frail and thin. Where obviously people in the African diaspora, although some are very thin, that ain't really the standard of beauty is like curvy and thick right? So that's the reason why I'm saying fat white girl. Because it's like there's this stereotype, and listen to what I'm saying. There is the stereotype. Please don't send me messages arguing against this. I'm not saying that we got to do something in 2026. But there is a stereotype out there that there's some Black men typically go after the quote unquote undesirable white women if they closeted, if they need a sponsor, do you know what I'm saying? So my sister sent me this video.
I seen that he had posted that he was an exotic car rental owner. It's not true. That he owns lofts. None of that is true. And that's all things that, some of it, like the exotic car rentals, I know it's not true because he was using my cars. And then the other stuff that he owns businesses and buildings and all this stuff, it's not true. My family and my friends were suspicious of him. And towards the end of our union, whatever you want to call it, they hired a private investigator, and we found out that he doesn't have money in the bank. He doesn't own buildings. He didn't even own the car or the house that he was actually living in.
Did you date before you got married?
Let's see, November, December, about 4 months.
Well, that's fast.
Fast, very quick.
Clearly, you don't get to know a person very well within 4 months' time.
You know what? So it was very fast. My relationship with him was fast and intense in the beginning. And looking back at it, you know, I was at a vulnerable point in my life. I was more overweight than I am today. I have been through some really traumatic stuff in my past. And here comes Prince Charming, telling me what I want to hear, telling me great stuff about myself, love bombing me. And the only person I blame at this point, everyone's like, you didn't see the red flags? I didn't. I was blinded. It was always his money was tied up in something. He would ask to borrow money. Hey, can I borrow $5,000? Can I borrow $10,000? So I would give it to him and he would pay me back within a week or two. But what I now know is that he was actually holding on to the money and paying me back just so that he could go to the next level of, hey, I need $20,000. Up until it got to over $100,000 and I never received the money back. It's not out of, people are saying I'm bitter. People are saying I'm jealous. I'm mad that he didn't choose me. I didn't choose him. I left him. Definitely would never want to be with someone like him. After leaving him, I spoke to several different people that were in relationships with him as well. And this is a pattern that he has. He seeks out successful women in the community. He love bombs them. He uses them for their resources. And then he's out or they leave him. The problem is that this man's not collectible. He's not collectible. No offense to anybody on food stamps, but he has a food stamp card. He has a Medicaid card, and he has no formal...
Allegedly.
No, it's not allegedly. He has it. He has it. Because not only that, but they've contacted me, because I don't know who said something to them, but they contacted me for transactions that I made to him through Cash App, which totaled almost, I could show it on here. I believe it was like $37,000 during the time that he was collecting food stamps. I don't want that to come back on me because we were married. And I'm not the only one that's dealt with what he's dealt with. I had one woman that recently just reached out to me 2 days ago that said, thank you for posting what you posted. I was actually dating him recently and something just didn't sit right with me, because what Darius does is he'll go on. The girl before me, she stole my house. She stole my mansion. I put all this work and all this money into this house. None of it was true. So he creates the story that the woman he was with before, or this person's stalking him. And so he creates these stories to try to get people to feel bad for him. So the woman had reached out to me and she said, don't listen to what anybody's saying. I was personally dating him. And thank you for speaking out, because it didn't sit right with me what he had been saying about you. And I did some research myself. He doesn't own what he says he owns. And she said, I don't talk to him anymore.
The funniest thing to me, and it's not funny, like this doesn't poke fun at anybody that needs like government assistance, but it's funny to me because the girl says allegedly, and she's like, no, it's not alleged. He had a food stamp card. This is what I was talking about. If this man has nothing, why are you dating? But to go a step further, why are you on national television pretending that you can show up as a full and responsible human being to someone else in a relationship? Why would you do that? So I'm not really going to correct myself a lot anymore. Like, I'm not going to push back on like misunderstandings and like, you know, I've said it. I think it's starting to, I think I'm saying it too much that it's becoming unreasonable. Like, try your best to like listen to this and even dialogue with me from a not triggered place. It would be way less frustrating if I could put a personal request out. But that is what I mean. It's like, yeah, I told the whole entire story. You think I don't think my brother is worthy of love? I love him. Of course he's worthy of love, but so is that woman. So is anybody that he chooses to date or have sex with. It's like, yeah, she's worthy of that too, but guess what? He can't give her nothing. My brother was dating a girl, and as soon as they introduced me to the girl, they said she was valedictorian of her school, something like that. It was something. They said the girl was so smart. I was sounding like my grandma. I said, nice to meet you. She was a sweet girl. She said, it's nice to meet you. I heard a lot about you. My brother had just got home from prison. Not jail, prison. Brother older than her. You see how there's a pattern here? And that's my brother that's my brother who I love. I love in a way that it can't be explained. But I ain't stupid. And just because that's my brother don't mean I want stupid women in the world to be susceptible. I'm using my own people as examples so that y'all understand where I'm coming from. But again, sometimes it don't matter. It don't matter how you could say it as plain as day, as clear as water. And if a person don't want to understand, they just ain't gonna understand. Anywho, the girl was like, it's nice to meet you. And I was like, it's nice to meet you too. I said, this is what I said. I'll never forget this. You know how you find out who you are in a moment? I said, yeah, they said you're really smart, but there's no way you could be smart because why would you be dating my brother? And that's my brother. Girl, he don't even have an address. Thank God my mama got a house. Thank God my mama said he could use her address. What you at my mama house? That's a grown man. And you at my mama house. He didn't bring you here for the holidays. This where he live, girl. What? That ain't got nothing to do with love. That don't have nothing to do with love. I would argue that a man does not love me. Matter of fact, let me not even make this gender specific. I would argue that a person does not love the person they're pursuing or themselves if they pursue you knowing that they not showing up to the table properly. That's what I would argue. That they lack love for not only you, but themselves as well. Imagine that. Imagine sitting on a date. Imagine sitting on a date with whoever you date. For me, it's men, right? Imagine I'm on a date and I'm like, okay, so I don't know. Tell me about yourself. What do you do? Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I've been working at this factory for a few weeks now. Oh, okay. Oh, only for a few weeks. Did you just change employment or something like that? Well, no, I was in prison. Oh, okay. Do you mind me asking what you were in prison for? Oh, no. I don't mind you asking at all. I was hustling. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, it's like I was doing it for a while and eventually, fuck it. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, and so when did you get out? Oh, 3 months ago. Oh, okay. Okay. So how's that? Like, what's your life look like now? Well, I'm staying with my mom. And I just got this job. And so that's great. And yeah, I'm just taking it day by day. That's going to be the last date for me, at least at that time. I might even let him know, like, you know what? It seems like you on a path to getting better, and I don't want to be a distraction. And I don't think that I can be an assistant, and I don't think I can be an assistant in that. But I do wish you all the best. And let me tell you, if that man is like, he my husband, if that's what he really thinks, what he gonna do? He gonna go get his life together and hope that I'm still single when he come back right. whatever. On a dating show, knowing goddamn well that somebody could tell a story about you on a dating show and you ain't got shit to offer. Not only do you ain't got shit to offer, you just lying. My brother's a repeat offender. Imagine that. I mean, he worthy of love. So I'm pregnant and he locked back up. It's like, hey, this ain't got shit to do with somebody paying their debts and stuff. This ain't got shit to do. This is the same as me saying, hey, I have to tell my friends sometimes I can't hang out with them because I have an early morning meeting. You know what that is? That is being a responsible adult and prioritizing things and focusing. You know the reason why I'm not late to my shows? The reason why I consistently put out this podcast? Because I have now somebody could easily come in my life and then I could be like, dang, y'all, I'm sorry, I ain't put out a show in 10 weeks, y'all, but I'm in love. And what y'all? Cause he be here all day, y'all. He be here all day. He don't, he ain't got a job. He ain't really had a stable job. You know what I'm saying? And he, he kind of like bouncing around on couches and stuff. So he just moved in with me. And so y'all, I'm just in so much love. I ain't seen y'all in 10 weeks. And if that ever was the case, I need y'all to flood the comments with unreasonable. Return the t-shirts. Return the goddamn t-shirts. Oh, God. 2, Nicki Minaj. Why she sat down with Erica Kirk at the Turning Point USA event, I don't know. Why they spent most of the conversation praising and complimenting both Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, I definitely don't know. The speculation is that she is trying to get her husband and her brother or another family member, I don't want to say pardoned because they not in jail, but I guess whatever it's called when their record their criminal record goes away. Because like Nicki Minaj's husband has been convicted of sex with a minor, and so basically, this is like, I try not to speak about this type of stuff like without the care that it deserves. But in the same way, way back when, maybe earlier this year when we started talking about Jonathan Majors, a lot of y'all was like, the thing that's really hard is that it doesn't seem like he's been truly remorseful, or it doesn't seem like he's really taking accountability. And that's the reason why it's very hard to like allow him to move on from it with like in good grace or like with like hope, And I think that that's also the thing with, like, I'm not going to say allegedly when it comes to her husband, because I mean, he's been convicted, right? But I think because they haven't owned up to it, it really, I don't know. It's kind of like, and I don't know how true. I have to say allegedly to the brother, because I don't really know much information about that. But that's the speculation, is that she trying to cozy up with Trump specifically by way of Erica Kirk, or by way of whoever she needs to do it to secure some sort of legal expungement. I don't know if that's a word, for her sex offender husband and brother. And of course, everybody knows she was very much against Trump during his first term. Nicki Minaj was the one who, not only is Nicki Minaj an actual immigrant because she was born, I believe, in Trinidad or somewhere. But she also expressed like her fear during his first term when they were talking heavily about immigration, like leading up to 2020, right? Leading up to the 2020 election and talking about like people, you know, banning countries and people being deported. Nicki Minaj was very vocal about her fear for her relatives in regards to Donald Trump. So I mean, listen, it's called Turning Point USA for a reason, because at some point, every single person has a turning point and that you trying to understand. You know what I'm saying? It feels very, very much Kanye West-ish to me. And I don't want to say that like, oh, well, no, Kanye is bipolar, and every time somebody that we like does something wrong, we try to excuse it with a mental illness. It just feels very like it seems like a drastic swing from one side to the completely other side. You know what I'm saying? Like people who are moderate, people who tend to be in the middle, I'm never surprised if in one day they lean a bit left on something else, on another day they lean a bit right, because like you in the middle, you know what I'm saying? But people who are very far feel very strongly about one thing to then feel very strongly about or with the thing that you were just opposing with kind of like no real solid reason or understandable reasoning conveyed. It's kind of hard, you know. I don't want to say she's on drugs. That's also the speculation that she has some sort of, you know, mental illness or that she's on drugs. I don't know what her true motivation is. I don't know what caused the switch. But my friend was like, are you a fan of Nicki Minaj? And I said, yeah, I'm a fan of her music. I have always been a fan. And I think Nicki Minaj is the best female rapper. And like that excludes, like don't put Lauryn Hill in that. And I know a lot of people will argue Rhapsody. I don't know enough Rhapsody music, unfortunately. I know I did listen to one album a full album a few years ago. And Rhapsody is like Nas to me. Like, obviously, when I listen to this, like this is a skill. I can hear that you have a skill, but for some reason, you're not going to get a second listen from me. Like, there's nothing that makes me want to listen to this again. Like, whether it's like your beat, for respectfully and with love. Like, I listened to a Nas album, not the most recent one that came out, but maybe like 2 albums ago that Nas put out. And I was trying to understand why, like, I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? And then I was like, I'm supposed to take a drive. I'm supposed to take a drive and contemplate. But the problem is when I'm taking a drive and contemplating, when I'm taking a drive, I don't need contemplative hip hop. But some people do, but I don't. But I recognize like that's where Nas sits. You get what I'm saying? You're not gonna play it in the club. You're not playing that while you getting hyped to go out. You're not playing that while you cleaning up. You get what I'm saying? It's contemplative, but I also got so many other people that I enjoy when I'm trying to be contemplative. You know what I'm saying? So I think Rhapsody is probably like that. But for me, my personal opinion, it's like Nicki Minaj is like, she writes her own, like she's just so good. She's just so good. But like, I don't know her as a person. And I hear that I've heard over the years, she's pretty terrible. I saw her live in concert and I just love her music. So my friend was like, okay, well, you love her music. Do you think that you can divest? And I was like, absolutely. Absolutely. I can totally, like, if Nicki Minaj came out and was like, yes, because she did say something crazy on this clip that I saw. It was like very like, it was like very covert. she was like, yeah, I mean, boys are going to be boys. I mean, boys will be boys. Like, sure, but also, huh? And it, whatever. But I was like, yeah, I could definitely divest. Like if Nicki Minaj was like, yeah, my husband is a pedophile and my brother is too, and I don't give a fuck what y'all talking about. So MAGA forever, and I'm out. Barbie bitches. Like if she did that, I would never have to listen to Nicki Minaj again, and it would be easy. Now, obviously, before I go cold turkey, I'm gonna listen to her verse for Monster like probably 4 times. I'm gonna listen to that verse. That's the one thing I'm gonna listen to 4 times before I completely just shut her off forever. If I have to. You know, it's kind of like when you about to go on a diet or a cleanse and you like, you know what? I'm doing that. I start at midnight, but it's 8 p.m. right now. So I'm going to eat these 2 slices of chocolate cake. You know what I'm saying? Because at midnight, when the clock strike midnight, you know what I'm saying? It's no more sweets for me, you know? But here, let's look at this video.
I have the utmost respect and admiration for our president. He has, I don't know if he even knows this, but he's given so many people hope that there's a chance to beat the bad guys and to win and to do it with your head held high and your integrity intact. He's from Queens, New York, like me. So, but what it's shown me personally is sometimes, you know, even in the worst feeling times in your life, you think that you're never going to come back from it. But you do. And our president shows that. He's been through every single thing a person could be through publicly. Having to constantly be lied on. It's not really that funny. Until you are in that person's shoes that's being lied on, you'll never understand what it feels like. That person is a human being. They have a family who has to read those lies. And that's not, and it's just not fair.
What's she talking about? He been through everything. Girl, he ain't been through nothing. What, he lost an election during a global pandemic when he was telling us to drink bleach? He ain't been through nothing. What are you talking about? He just put up plaques that lie about every single president he doesn't like in the White House. He ain't been through nothing. What you talking about? He been through, but I could tell whoever she parallels him to. I could tell when she said that people lie on you and you just have to, and there's nothing you could do about it. I'm like, that was the turning point for her. That was the turning point for her. She feels like an injustice has been done. And she feels like somebody been railroaded. And she like, you know what? That's exactly what this looks like. A powerful person, people hating on them, people lying on them. Oh, this the same. This the same. Or Nicki Minaj is the ultimate troll. She the ultimate troll. 'Cause why would you do this? She even when she said to Erica Kirk, even when she said J.D. Vance was the assassin, it's like, first of all, J.D. Vance has never assassinated anything. He's not, he ain't an assassin literally nor figuratively. You know when somebody putting 20 on 10, because J.D. Vance ain't an assassin at all, literally nor figuratively. I don't care what, I put money on it. Nobody ever in J.D. Vance's whole life ain't never been like, bro, you killed it, bro. Bro, you're killing it. Nobody has ever said that to J.D. Vance ever in life. Now, I imagine that J.D. Vance says it to himself in the mirror like he being Mary Jane or something like that. I'm sure J.D. Vance be brushing his teeth like, bro, you're killing it. bro, you killed it today. Bro, you're going to kill it tomorrow. Like, I'm sure he tells himself that, and his wife probably be walking by like, this is what I signed up for. And he just, kill it. But for sure, no one has ever told JD Vance, yeah, you killed that shit. No. I'm sure they said, well, you did better. Oh, you did better than I expected. We'll take it. Just keep trying. Try again. There's always tomorrow. But nobody ever said to JD Vance, you kill. So why would Nicki Minaj say assassin when talking not only about JD Vance but to Erica Kirk? We just have to watch this. We just have to watch this play out. Speculation and all that stuff. We just have to watch it. I believe, and this is not me being a fan of Nicki Minaj's music. She got to be trolling. She has to. Because she's too talented to choose this. Okay. 4, they found a killer at the Brown University killer. So they say. It feels too convenient to me. Now, just a week later, I was in Italy for 4 days, 4 or 5 with the travel, 5 days. And now it ain't nothing on the news about it. We just wrapped up 2 murder stories just like that with a bow. It don't make sense. Even if it makes sense that he murdered the was it the MIT professor? Even if he murdered the professor that he used to go to Brown with, it's like, why? Even when they said they found him dead, in none of the news stories that I saw, they wasn't saying how. It's like, yeah, you found him dead, but how? Did he overdose? Did he shoot himself? How? No, but they was not saying the cause of his death. I'm like, yeah, nah. 5, the Epstein files. It ain't even really nothing to talk about with the Epstein files, because it's like the Epstein files, how they treating it, how it's playing out in the media is like being in a restaurant, right? And they keep filling up your water. They keep coming to your table, filling up your water, and they keep telling you your waiter is going to be by any minute now to take your order. Can I get you some more water? Your waiter is going to be by any minute to take your, and you like, I'm fully hydrated. I just can't wait to get my order in so that I can eat the food, and they don't never come and take your order. That's what this feels like. It's like, stop showing me y'all showing me everything we don't need or care about. I don't care who was in the picture with Jeffrey Epstein. Show me the illegal stuff. That's the whole point of this, to prove that these people, these grown ass people, trafficked young girls. Trafficked young girls to an island. Young people to an island, underage girls to an island. Show me that or don't show me shit. Is this an SVU episode or not? And now everybody talk about Chris Tucker.
You knew Jeffrey Epstein, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. We flew Bill Clinton and a lot of different, that was a humanitarian trip to Africa. And yeah. I met him on that trip because it was his plane. I didn't know who plane we was getting on, but it was a whole bunch of dignitary people. We was with a delegation. And yeah, I met him, and you don't know people, what they do in their private lives. So yeah.
Yeah, tell me this.
I ain't even falling for it. And this ain't got nothing to do with me being a fan of Chris Tucker. And I could go either way on Chris Tucker. Chris Tucker he has done some really, really funny. He has some really, really funny IP out in the world. But other than that, I even, believe it or not, I've even had meals with Chris Tucker. They showing a picture of Chris Tucker with Jeffrey Epstein, and first of all, we knew over a year ago that his name was on the list, and it makes sense. Chris Tucker, old video is resurfaced, and people are reposting it like it's new on social media, where he did an interview with, I don't know who Chris Tucker was talking to, but he did an interview and they was asking him like, yeah, you was on a plane, and Chris Tucker was like, oh yeah, I was. He's speaking about it like it's good. Yeah, I was. It was a humanitarian trip to Africa, and you could tell the way Chris Tucker looked at the camera, like, but the shit that's coming out now, it's like, who knew that was going to happen, right? But it's like, listen. A lot of people end up in places with a bunch of people that have status because they have newly gained status in this world, status as a celebrity, status as an A-lister, status as a person with money, status as an influencer, whatever. And they end up in places with people, and they ain't doing nothing wrong. In the height of Chris Tucker's career, I imagine everybody wanted to meet him. I imagine everybody wanted to meet Chris Tucker. I imagine it was a big flex if you could bring Chris Tucker to the party. And Chris Tucker being a kid from wherever he came from and having this huge success, huge fame. And everybody want to fly you on a private jet. That might have been his first time on a private jet. Chris Tucker put out a whole special about him being friends with Michael Jackson, and Michael Jackson called him Christmas. If you let Michael Jackson call you Christmas, knowing goddamn well your name is Chris, and I understand because he Michael Jackson. Sometimes I let the girl at the barista at the coffee shop call me Zendaya. I don't care. She ain't gonna get my name right. Shout out to all of y'all that sent me the thing with Tisha Campbell giving me a shout out on Sherry Shepherd. Although she ain't say my name right. So I guess my goal for 2026 is to be big enough for people to say my name right. But also, I mean, shit. Kamala, she ran for president. She was the first female vice president of the United States, and people were still fucking up her name, right? So let me temper my expectations, right? Anyway, but shout out to Tisha Campbell for giving me that shout out on Sherry's show. But rightfully so. I mean, Michael Jackson was the ultimate status symbol, right? And so if you around him and he like, I'm gonna call you Christmas. Of course, Chris Tucker was out there you know what I'm saying, traveling and reaping the benefits of his newfound celebrity status. And until you show me something else, I ain't even y'all ain't got shit else to do but conspiracize on the internet. Not y'all, not my reasons, but just anyway. 6, the Michigan head coach who was fired for inappropriate relationship with a staffer. Only thing that I have that hasn't really made the news, and this happens all the time. I don't know, maybe it has, and you guys know, and I don't. But the woman should be fired too, right? I mean, yeah, y'all both had an inappropriate relationship with one another, but this is boring. It's the same old story, It's like, but he, the petty part of me was about to be, but they worthy of love. 7, I have not watched Dave Chappelle's special yet, but I'm looking forward to watching it. I'm actually looking forward to over the next couple of days when I'm just chilling, at my house or in Miami or with my friends. I plan on watching Dave Chappelle's new special, Ali Sadiq's new special, and what's another? It's one more special that I want to watch. Robbie Hoffman's. Yeah, but I haven't seen Dave's yet, so maybe we'll talk about it in the new year if there's anything to talk about. And that's actually it. Okay. The last episode of 2025. Thank you so much for riding with me. I really appreciate it. If you have listened this far and you haven't hit the subscribe button, go ahead and do that. That is it for me. There won't be an episode next week. But I will see you guys in the new year. Okay. So happy holidays. Happy New Year. I will see you in 2026. And until then, be reasonable. Bye.